And I'm not a pay for me person. I'm a 50-50 or like I'll even take the bill, but absolutely, especially in the first dates, I'm 100%. You each pay 50%. And so like I was like,
you can't even pay for your own drink?
Yeah, exactly. And so it was like we just like walked around. It was cool seeing UJ's campus because I had never seen it, but it was just awkward. And I was just like, that awkward moment you're standing by your car and you're about to leave and you're like, oh, no kiss. This isn't going to happen. And I'm like, okay, bye. I just like ducked into my car. And it was like, let him know when I got home. And he was like, okay, it was so fun. I'm like, oh, me too. And that was
ghost.
Yeah. And I felt, yeah. So it wasn't like the worst ever, but it wasn't good. So that's mine.
Let me preface this.
You have to get closer.
Let me preface this by saying I'm one of those people where I kind of like put my all into it. So like when I found out I was going to get laid off a few months ago, I literally put out 17 applications in a day or two. So my dating thing is like, sure, I'll match with you. I'll go on a date with you, and that's cool. Like, so I've been on quite a few dates, and quite a few of them were terrible.
But you kind of have to do.
Yeah, I hate dating. It sucks.
It's the worst.
So I have some really good ones that are like very recent, but I want to tell you about my very first date.
Can I pour wine real quick first?
Please, you're gonna need it. It was rough.
We believe on long pours. Long pods, long pours.
Take a shot, guys. Okay.
Thank you.
So, my very first date, I was a late bloomer, so I was like 17. And I went out with this guy. He took me to a movie, which, I didn't have a car yet, so my mom drove me and dropped me off. And I get there, and his little brother is with him.
Super.
Right?
Super duper.
I was 17.
How old was the little brother?
He was like 10.
Okay.
But the guy I went on a date with was like 19. So he knew better. Okay. So I'm on this date.
Boys are dumb, man. Boys are dumb. Your mom let you date an older man. Also, boys are dumb.
Yeah, but mom took me and dropped me off. So okay. So anyway, we get to the Evans Theater, and I'm sitting down. We're going to see this movie, and I'm pretty sure it was the Mr. Bean movie, and I didn't want to see that.
Little brother picked.
Why?
Why you took me to see Mr. Bean? I don't know, but you did, homeboy. And
you know who you are. You are not a friend of the pod.
You're not. Oh my God. Speaking of, I actually ran into him the other day at Arts in the Heart, and he asked me on another date. And I was like, no.
He's like,
girl, the other day, that was like,
dude, there are so many.
Yeah.
There are so many Mr. Bean movies. This shit could stretch on into nauseam. Like,
so anyway.
The other day, that was the beginning of Jamie's gestation period.
That's what I said, like 4 months ago.
It was probably the night.
Okay, it was literally the beginning of my gestation period. Shout out to my Arts and the Heart homies.
Shout out to my gestation period.
I think it was the night you conceived. It's fine.
No, it literally was.
That's fine.
Maddie and I were wearing matching shirts.
Were blowing everywhere. It's fine.
But anyway.
So
Shout out to
Gross.
Fetus.
That's just wrong.
Oh, that's the episode name. Shout out to my
Fetus, friend of the pod.
I don't know that it's like a relationship and dating pod.
Stop. Okay, so
It's like worst nightmares.
So I get there, and we're in this movie, and there's like, and I don't know if you're not from Augusta, we have Irish travelers that live here, and we call them gypsy. That's like the slang term for them. It's probably not nice. So there are these women that they all marry their cousins, and they all look like they're fixing to go to a
all's a strong word.
Allegedly, yeah, it's alleged. So anyway, allegedly they intermarry, and
Just happens by accident when the gene pool gets so shallow.
Well, you're intermarrying at that point.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, your cousins do look better than a lifetime of loneliness.
No.
I have one that I could.
Okay, so maybe your cousin doesn't look better than a lifetime of loneliness. But you're also not an Irish traveler. They probably have cousins to spare.
I mean, I'm not marrying him. He's just very cute.
So.
Shout out, friend of the pod.
Like Irish travelers are very private people. They don't really
understand.
They very much keep to themselves.
They
For
do.
sure.
They do.
Yeah.
So we get there, and he buys popcorn and all that, which he makes me hold the whole time. And we sit there, and there's Irish travelers like sitting in front of us, and they won't even make eye contact with you half the time. Like they will not speak to you, will not make eye contact. We go sit down. and we're watching this movie. And if you know me,
Which
you
they
know-
really don't,
but my friends that know me know that the way my heart is to make me laugh. Like, I have to laugh. So, which means I like to laugh and be laughed, like, at. So, your laugh has to not be awful.
Oh, no.
My God.
Oh,
His
no.
laugh. It was so obnoxious. I was so embarrassed.
What did it
I was
sound like?
It was like,
Oh my
like,
gosh.
It was really bad. It was
You
really
just
bad.
made my mic go red.
Yeah. Like, I'm so sorry. It was really bad. But please excuse me.
We're working on our editings, just so you guys know.
Yes.
We're going to have better equipment soon.
But y'all, it was the worst laugh I have ever heard in my entire life. It was horrible. I was so embarrassed. His little brother was laughing just like it, and I was just sitting there like,
And even at 17, you knew it was hereditary. You knew you couldn't
Yeah.
spend your whole life
You're
doing
like, oh God, my
Yeah.
kids will sound like
y'all,
that.
It gets passed down.
the Irish travelers in front of me turned around.
They made eye contact
Made
just for
eye
that.
contact, and I heard her whisper, "Oh, I feel bad for that girl." Not even kidding. Not even kidding. So then I suffer through that movie, okay, because y'all know it was bad. I even went to the bathroom for like 10 minutes at one point.
Did a poop.
I just had to get away. I needed a break. So,
You have died of dysentery.
oh man, didn't win the Oregon Trail. So at this point, the date's over, and I'm outside, and I see my mom's car, and I'm like,
And you sprint.
I
You
tried.
run.
I tried. So I go to
Dove
walk
into the
off.
car.
Homeboy grabs my arm and pulls me to him.
In
And,
front of your mother?
In front of his little brother too, and hugs me,
Oh.
and like goes in for the kiss, and I was like, "All right, have a good one, bye."
I think it should be a rule if your younger sibling is there will be no kissing.
There was definitely a time where a guy leaned in, and I was a teenager, to give me a kiss, and I put my whole hand on his whole face, and I was like, "Okay, thanks, bye."
I
It was like the very Ariana Grande, like, "Thank you, next," like, no.
I actually didn't have my first kiss until I was like 19, and I was in college at this party, and my friend was like, "You haven't been kissed?" And this drunk guy heard her say that, and he walks up and just plants one on me, and that
Well, I was gonna say that was tender until that.
Yeah, that's not consensual.
no, that was my first kiss.
I think like my first
I think the
one.
next one should count as your first kiss.
No, the next one was this. Never mind.
I think my first one was in my 20s, like my early 20s, for sure.
Alright, so we're about the same.
Yeah. I mean,
So
perfection
yours is
takes a while.
I know. Rome wasn't built in a day. Neither was your relationship. Some
ma'am.
girls and boys out there.
Okay, well, that segues perfectly into my worst date because I'm a serial dater.
You are.
Like, I just go from one person to the next.
She murders each one.
Yeah. This is actually going to be like a murder podcast as well. We're segueing this episode.
What up, Georgia?
Actually, yeah, that is because we're talking about all the bad dates we've gone on and how we murdered them. Yeah, that's exactly how this episode's going to go.
Just their hopes and dreams.
Just their hopes and dreams of being with us. So I've been a serial dater for most of my life. When William and I started talking and got really serious, I did try to like skirt, like put the brakes on a little bit because I just didn't want to like hop in. And it was really important to me to not do
I noticed
so.
the difference.
Yeah, and it was, So I don't know that I've ever had like a blind date that went horribly, horribly wrong.
It doesn't do blind, just at any date.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like when you're in a relationship with somebody, and you guys all know that, like you go on dates or like air quote dates that you don't like, they aren't super planned, and then they go poorly. So I had a lot of those. There was the boy that I dated, Maddie, when we met, the one that we don't like.
Well, there's a few of those, but I know the one you're talking about.
That specific one that we don't like. And
It's a lot of
he,
Hogwarts.
yeah.
I'm gonna let Abby
yeah.
in.
Okay, you gonna let Abby in?
You can keep talking.
Oh, can I have another Spindrift?
Yes,
Not
ma'am.
sponsored.
Not sponsored. Not yet. Sponsored.
Or alcoholic.
Or alcoholic. Your girl is sad. Oh, I did have, I guess, one date that went horribly wrong because it was like not a cute moment in my life. I was in Rome and I was gonna like
Casual.
Ooh, this story takes place abroad.
in Rome, Italy. And so I was with a study abroad group and they were going to be there for 2 weeks. And then I had opted to stay for an extra 2 weeks because the boy I was dating at the time, I thought he was going to go with me because, like, he just graduated.
You got that as his graduation trip, or his graduation.
Right. So
Yeah.
I was like, I'll go halvesies with you, and then you can be with me for 2 weeks in Rome, and it'll be balling. And then, like, 2 weeks before the trip, we broke up in, like, this very ugly way. And I don't think it was 2 weeks, actually. I think it was longer
Before
than
that, yeah.
But I ended up I'd locked in the flights, and so I was like, well, I guess I'll just, like, stay and hang out. And I wanted to couch surf, and so I
Made me very nervous.
Do that online couch surfing thing?
So I started to. I messaged a couple of folks and said, you know, hey, I'm here for this date and this date, and I'm interested in couch surfing. And there was this guy that was really nice, and he seemed like a little older, like, I don't know, like mid-30s. And I was like, all right, cool. Like, he just seemed very, like, I don't want to say fatherly, but, like, he seemed like a nice guy. And
Yeah.
so I went and met him. It's very creepy. It's very creepy. He's like, I'll meet you at this spot.
It just
And then
sounds
I
creepy.
show
Yeah, it's
up.
like, yeah.
Well, I was 20 at the time, so yeah, it was, anyway, but I showed up at the spot, and he was, like, working. Like, he was working as a waiter, and he's like, I get off at 11, and I'm like, oh, okay, so I guess I'll just hang out and eat this lovely Italian food, that's fine. And it just got very weird, and at one point I was like, I have to go back to my hotel, or I'm gonna get in a shitload of trouble. He's like, no, you can just come stay with me. And I'm like, that's not how that works. They will send my ass home. And so I got in a cab that was like the surge rate of like 3 or 4 times the normal price, and like drug myself back to the hotel. It was wild. Like, everybody in the study abroad trip was like in one room, and they were all like standing there trying to decide what to do because it was like midnight and I hadn't come home, and I've been gone for like 6 hours, and they were like freaking out. So it was not cute.
Do you get in trouble?
I didn't, because they were all really cool. Like, I definitely like lost some street cred with them for sure, because it was not cool. And but no, they were all there, and I just like burst into the room, and I was like, I'm so happy to see you guys. I thought I was gonna get killed. And I was like really serious, and they were like, damn it, don't do that. And it ended up like being fine. So like I didn't get sent home, or there wasn't anything like really horrible. It could have gone much worse in many, many different ways. So that was probably one of the weirder ones. And then other than that, I think I've just had a lot of like bad dates where like neither one of us was like either calling it a date or like really interested in being together, like being physically together in that moment. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, no, it happens.
I mean, I can remember this one date I went on in college. My friends set me up with him, like, oh, you should go with him. He's nice. He's single. You're single. Why not? And so,
As all shitty matchmaking
yeah,
goes.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like I remember meeting up with him. Number one, we didn't have anything in common,
So
and
Salt.
I felt like I was the one that was like initiating all of the conversation. Like, so, like, what do you have going on this week? You know, what do you like to do? And like, we just finally got to talking about like and we were both in college. And we got to talking about both of our majors, and he was like attacking me for being like a PR and communication. He was like, what are you gonna do with that? Why do you want to do that?
I'm going
And
to
I'm
do
just like-
so many great things. I will start a podcast.
what are you gonna do with your
Yeah.
intercelestial PhD, motherfucker? And like,
Yeah,
what?
like, I don't know. It just was
What are you
not.
yourself for the rest of your life?
I don't know.
Sorry.
Kill yourself at 35 because you're on hit.
And you're like, and goodbye.
Basically, and I don't know. And it's like the worst when you like see your friends afterwards, and they're like, "So how'd it go?" And you don't want to be like, "It was."
He's a dick.
Yeah, be like,
You should literally just say to your friends, you are garbage at
be like,
this.
"I'm offended you set me up with this person. Don't ever."
And
Why
Right,
did you
do
think I
that
would like
again.
him? Is
Yeah.
it because of my resting bitch face? Like,
That's
what?
that's the thing about blind dates, and I've never been set up on one. I don't think, but it really shows like what your friends think of that person and you too. And you're like, you really they have
Just
to
because
really
you-
be
I
solid
wonder
on
if
it.
it's just that people don't consider like I have 2 people that I really like, and
Yeah.
like, but I'm the link. Like,
Yeah.
I'm the tip
That
of
does
the
not
end.
missing
mean.
point.
Yeah, that does
Right,
not
but
mean
that
they
doesn't
should go
mean
together.
yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Mm-hmm. Especially if you've never met, like I said, a blind date you've never met before. You don't have any like idea of if these two
There's
people
no
are even
reference.
compatible.
I mean, if you could just set people up on blind dates and all they would talk about was you, then maybe that would work.
And
But
maybe that's what people are missing.
maybe that's why most blind dates don't work out.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it could have gone a lot worse. I never felt like I was in danger or anything
bad
like
is that? How bad is it that that's where it could have gone worse? That you're like, I wasn't in danger. Like, how sad. And it's so true. Because I would go out on dates with people I met, and I'd send, like, Hannah and my aunt the photo of what the guy looked like, where we were going, what time I would be there, what time I was planning to be home. And, yeah, I text him when